for this powerful interview. Great story. We have with us a sister who has been in struggle since childhood. She, of course, met Malcolm, worked with Dr. King, and actually lived and worked in the struggle for the liberation of African American people.
So this is the last thing
all views
okay.
in the human rights struggle as well. She has been living a life all the time.
Don't forget the mic.
With this story that for her came natural, so it didn't mean a whole lot to her. But after hearing her and knowing parts of her family, the struggle that she went through was something that we all can share and love and appreciate. Because of her story, we all have an opportunity to go and participate in electoral politics in a way that can liberate communities if done correctly. That's something that Brother Malcolm taught us. If you listen to his speech, Ballot or the Bullet, where he talked about what electoral politics is supposed to produce for you and improve your conditions. So this sister was part of a struggle that enlightened the entire world about factual things that were happening in America and put a spotlight on its brutality on people of African descent. I want to say we definitely, or as you young people would say, we most definitely love the fact that we have a chance to do this from this beautiful facility called Pan-African Connection. And of course, my good friend, who's no longer with us, but I think about him always, Brother Vandela Tiemba, used to always say, brother, we're not just a bookstore, we're a resource center. So it's Pan-African Connections Resource Center. And this store has enlightened so many people, including myself, about where we stand in the global stage, particularly people of African descent. And so I want you to put your hands together to show appreciation for the sister and, of course, co-founder of this establishment, Akwete Tiemba, who's Sister Khadijah, for always opening your doors. I mean, I showed up here and I said, I got a program I want to do, and she gave me a look and said, come on. You know, she's that type of sister, and they've been that type of family. So I definitely want to say we deeply appreciate that. Having said that, I'm going to now get out of the way after introducing your guest speakers. The first person I want to introduce, who really needs no introduction, is Norma Adams Wade from the Dallas Morning News. Norma is going to conduct this interview. You know, Norma is a pioneer.
Oh, that's the brother that he came back.
She is one of those deans of black journalists here. And of course, Norma does awesome research.
Oh, she is the interviewer.
Many of you read it. I believe it still comes out Wednesdays.
First Wednesday of the month.
First Wednesday of the month.
She's so proper.
And I remember once bringing Kathleen Cleaver, Elder Cleaver's widow, to town. And Norma did research on Kathleen and found out something none of us knew until then. That Kathleen was born in Dallas, Texas. Yeah. Her parents were in Waco, Texas. Father teaching at the college there, I believe it was Wiley College. Mother was a school teacher. And she got, of course, she was pregnant, about to deliver. They got in the car, drove to Dallas, Texas, to Parkland Hospital, as we call Old Park, where my oldest sister was born, gave birth to Catherine, cleaned her up, wrapped her up, got back in the car, and drove back to Waco. So the first time Catherine ever visited again Dallas was when we brought her here. Norma unearthed that for us. So Norma's that type of research, and we appreciate her for all the work that she's done. One of the founders of the National Association of Black Journalists, profound journalists across the country who've been doing awesome work on behalf of our people and educating us about the things we need to know. That being said, now, let me introduce to you, as I said earlier before, Khadijah Moton Ghafur. Would you please come forward?
Okay.
And the other who is a walking, living legend. And I'm going to now give this mic to Norma and give this.
Thank you.
It's all theirs.
Okay.
Well, hello.
Hello again.
And hi, everybody. First, let me welcome you to Dallas.
Thank you.
And I want you to know that we are very honored to have you here. And we hope that our accommodations have been pleasing for you, and that our reception of you has been pleasing. And if it has not, I apologize for anything that didn't go well. And also, we in Dallas are honored that this will be your first interview that you have had about your impressive life. And I'm going to ask at some point how you've been able to keep all that under lock and key. About your impressive life in the 60s, civil and voting rights era. And allow me to go ahead and for the audience to just kind of highlight some of the points that we're going to talk about. And first of all, well, let me get one thing clear. Tell me which name you prefer. Now, you go also by Deanna, and then you also go by Khadijah. Is that correct? Explain the name to me.
Well, like most Muslims, when we convert to Islam, we our given name, we legally get it changed. So
Okay.
if you call me Khadijah, that's fine. But I was born and raised Deanna Moton, and I proudly embrace that name.
Okay.
Because it has its own understanding.
Good, good. Well, I'm comfortable right now with Deanna, so if that's
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Am I saying it correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, so some of the high points that we're going to talk about is you were in Selma and you shook hands with Malcolm X, El-Haji Malik El-Shabazz, and you were 14 years old. We'll talk about that. You were also one of the demonstrators who was attacked during the Bloody Sunday incident. We'll talk about that. You were a marcher in the infamous Turnaround Tuesday, and we'll remember, and you'll help us to remember Turnaround Tuesday. All of these were mid-60s, 64, 65, in that period of time. And then you were among the demonstrators who walked 50 miles to the city of Montgomery, Alabama, and witnessed Dr. King's speech on the Capitol steps. And this was the Selma to Montgomery March. We'll talk about that. And he delivered his how long, not long speech, I believe. And your brother, Leroy Moton, was a 19-year-old. You were younger, about 4 or 5 years younger. He was 19 at the time, and he was in the car when Viola, and I always struggle to say her name correctly, Liuzzo,
That's correct.
was assassinated. We'll talk about that. And you also were in the second car behind the one where Dr. King rode in Cicero, Illinois, and all of the craziness that was going on there. So, but I want to begin before we get to your memories of these incidents. I'd like to help the audience to know a little bit more about you, those years before you got to your turning point at age 14. Tell us a little bit about where you were born, your family, siblings, parents, your schooling. Kind of just give us a little background about yourself those years before you got to 14.
The backstory should include. Can you hear me?
Okay, now that's better.
The backstory of that's mine should include what was happening in Selma.
Okay.
Selma is located in the deep south. You know, it's the black belt of one of the black belts of the south. In Selma, way before the Me Too movement, it was typical for...
Yeah, you were born in Selma.
I was born and raised in Selma. Born and raised in Selma.
Right.
It was typical for the life in Selma is that just like when they say that African Americans are on one side of the track and white Americans on the other side of the track, that's Selma.
Okay.
And it's clear.
Still
now
today?
in the middle,
Still today?
Still, well, I can't say still today.
Not as much, but
yeah,
remnants.
Yeah, but back in the day, you were saying prior to 14.
Right.
But racism was such a norm that my mother, when she was 14, between 14 and 15, she shared a story with us how she was literally raped by a group of white men. And that's how she started her life as a child. So that affected her.
Of course it
and consequently, she had 6 children, 1 girl, 5 boys. So that meant for me as a girl, yeah, I was the only girl. That meant for me as a girl, I was locked down. Because mom knew the consequences of a girl being unprotected out there. But this was very...
To the extreme, overprotective.
Exactly. And so it was very typical for young ladies in the South to be fearful of that type of what my mother went through.
Right.
You know, so in one of the things that happened, I think prior to me becoming 14, is that I was what was happening in the entire Civil Rights Movement, there was a need for African Americans to gain human rights, to become voters. Not only that we didn't have the right to vote, African Americans would look upon it as like inhuman. Like it was okay to transgress women. Literally, I live in a place in Selma, there's a place called the Brickyard. There's about 500 housings where most African Americans live. And within those houses is about 2 major churches within about 5-minute walk. Where I live in those houses, where I was raised, I can look, the centerpiece of the Civil Rights Movement was the Brown Chapel Church.
Absolutely.
I can come out on my porch and see everybody entering into that church. That's just something that God gave me.
Now let's put a pin in that and kind of tell us a little bit more, and we're going to jump around a little bit.
Okay, it's okay.
Brown Chapel was a centerpiece
Absolutely.
of the Deep South Civil Rights Movement. So many efforts began there.
Exactly.
And go ahead and just kind of give us a little bit more about Brown. It was a significant
Brown Chapter.
Beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, very beautiful. Brown Chapel AME Church. It was an African Methodist Episcopalian church. Although it was a 5-minute walk from me, and another church was the First Baptist Church. That was another like 7 minutes walk from where I live. I literally have to walk about several miles to get to the church that I attended.
Okay.
But sometimes we would just go there. But the Civil Rights Movement got its start at Brown Chapel, where I can just walk there in 5 minutes. That worked to my benefit. Dr. King chose to come to Selma to speak. He agreed to come to Selma to speak at the invitation of my minister of my church.
Okay.
So when he came to speak, I heard about it because I'm a reader. Because I couldn't date, I couldn't do anything, so I read. So I used to read all the time, and so I knew like historical figures that was in the movement. So Dr.
Now, at 14, 13, 12,
No, this is 1963.
Okay.
In 1963, I'm trying to give you the backstory before 14.
Go ahead.
1963, I knew that I had to get to Brown Chapter to get a good seat because Dr. King was coming to town.
Dr. King is coming to town.
So at 1963, I go and I'm sitting on the curb of the church,
outside,
waiting for them to come. So God worked in a mysterious way. A car drives up. I'm sitting there. As soon as that door opened, I'm going to go into Brown Chapel Church and get me a good seat. And I knew where to go. I can't sing, but I knew to go to the choir area. So the car drives up. I look up. Who's in the car? Dr. King. I'm sitting there on the curb. I look up and I see one of my heroes. And driving in the car is Ralph Abernathy. And in the back is Andrew Young, C.T. Vivian. And there's another, I can never get that third, whoever that third person, but there were 5 people in the car. That's how they roll, because that was security for Dr. King. So I jump up and I said, Dr. King, Dr. King. So almost reluctantly, he is rolling the window down. I say, Dr. King, how are you? I chatted him up so much that I don't remember all the conversation, but he was very, very kind and he has, to see Dr. King in person, which I did for many times, to see him in person, he had a very kind face, a very inviting face. There was so much compassion, but you could feel his humanity.
Okay.
I was able to connect that as a young child. So I'm talking to him, and I'm saying,
he hasn't made it into the church yet.
No, he can't. I'm at his door. I'm at his door, and I'm like talking, saying things. I don't know what I was saying, but it was a long time.
Right.
And this was like the men in the car was laughing because Dr. King was trapped by this little girl from Selma.
Right.
But he was trying to be very compassionate and not like roll that window up and like shoo away, little girl.
Right.
But I said, so after a while, when I realized that he was about, a little finished with me, I was like, Dr. King, may I have something of yours? He said, oh, little girl, I don't have anything. I said, but you're Dr. King.
Wow.
He said, no, I really don't. He's like looking. I really don't have anything, little girl. I said, but you're Dr. King. You have something. I must have something of yours to remember you by. And I can almost see this dialogue between this little 13-year-old child, the audacity.
Right.
This Nobel Peace Prize winner. I mean, I was like,
He was there, and correct me, because African Americans could not vote. Had very few privileges. Equality was non-existent. Local folk had asked him to come, and correct me as I go along with this, to help deal with civil rights that they were seeking, voting being a primary one. So this was a mass community meeting, was it not?
Yes, but in Selma, you could not vote, not because they were saying no. It was the iniquity that was attached to it, the inhumaneness. We had school teachers who were not allowed to vote, and they said because they couldn't pass the test. But
there were all kind of roadblocks. You had to take a test on the
exactly.
You had to be able
guess how many marbles are in a bowl. It was just
all kind of crazy stuff.
Like real sick stuff, stuff that nobody. It was a test that no human being could pass. You know, so the issue for Selma is not only there was no civil rights, but there was no human rights. You know, we live in a brickyard, and I sat there as a child and witnessed white men would come and park and transgressing married black women, and African American men could not speak up because his family would be targeted. This is the backstory.
And the teachers, if they tried to vote, they were fired, right? If a teacher, well, they couldn't vote, but...
Yeah, they weren't allowed they wasn't allowed to even register.
Not even register.
Yeah, and there was a few people who got through, and they wanted to keep it like that.
Okay.
They gave enough so they can say they didn't have a complete washout. So that was the issue. But anyway, I go back to this significant about Dr. King. So I'm waiting. So he's in town based on an invitation to investigate the civil rights the civil rights issues. Now, SCLC is already there. Stokely Carmichael, all the greats, Willie Rich, who started the Black Power sign, raising his hand, James Bevel, who was the author of suggesting the Selma to Montgomery, all the great SNCC movement people, we as children would see them and talk to them, never knowing that these were historical figures that...
That's my point. That's what I wanted to hear. How could you at that age have known the history that you were among?
But there was something strange about it. As it was unfolding, you could feel that you were part of something big. That I couldn't explain it as a child because in Selma, something I'd never been able to tap into until I started telling the story is that you felt like an old soul. Children felt like old soul. The teachers could not march without reprisal. The elderly could not march because most of the jobs were working in the home the power brokers, right? So the only commodity that was free to express themselves was children. So we would go to school, and we would go to high school, do our work, and the teacher would say, okay, you got all your work done, go march. Go. The principal will open the door and just say, go. It got so bad, you just came in, you did your work, and just walk out and get ready for the march. Literally, sometimes SNCC would be there, and we're just organized to march straight from the school. So it was the organization was incredible. The commitment of young people was, I have not seen that anywhere in this life since that moment.
Now let me, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm trying to also get the family environment. Were your parents involved? Because you know, as we got on into the 60s, parents started being afraid for their children to, and I know even here in Dallas, I remember, hearing stories about parents who didn't want their children involved because they were just afraid for their lives.
But that was
not it.
That was not the case in Selma. Here I am, I have a mother who is paranoid about her daughter, who is very overprotective of her children. I have 5 brothers one daughter, she opened the door. You go out and fight for freedom. My mother had a consciousness. She had awareness that unconditionally. That's why I was able to just go out, go and participate in the movement, because she was very open. Everybody. It was all. You had to know Selma to understand it. People were tired, but they were fearless. There was not that fear, although people was under the oppression, but there was not. It was not a sense of fear. It's just something that I have not seen anywhere. It's almost God created a vortex in Selma, Alabama, that people were, although they was extremely oppressed, they had a fearlessness that was attached to them. And they were willing to give it up. And that's how we came up. Against all odds, you just rise. It was just that spirit in Selma. To this day, it exists.
Well, that helps me understand the mindset of Bloody Sunday. So we're going to kind of jump ahead to how that day, that whole point of the movement came about. Now, again, Brown, now my understanding, and you correct me, is that people were meeting, Brown being like a center place, and that leaders like Dr. King and others, and we're going to get to Malcolm X coming. I think he's a little down the line. But my understanding is that the assembly place was Brown, and then y'all went on to the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Get chronologically, bring us to how you led up to Bloody Sunday and the organizing and people coming together and all of that.
Okay, an abbreviated version. In 1963, God gave me the opportunity to meet Dr. King and have a dialogue with him. It stayed positive. In 1965, I remember the date, February 4th, Malcolm X is just coming from overseas. And when he comes, he just he just, like an unplanned schedule, comes to the South. He goes to Birmingham, I think Birmingham or Montgomery first. And the organizer say, why don't you come to Selma? So he comes to Selma. When he comes to Selma, I hear about it, that Malcolm X is coming to Selma. So I got to find that seat. I'm 5 minutes away. So I shoot in, and I literally, like, I sit in that front row of the choir stand behind whoever's going to speak, and I wait. Now, literally, people were fearful about coming to Malcolm X speak, not because of reprisal from the oppressors, but they were in conflict with Dr. King. You know, so they were concerned about it. But then there was a go-ahead. It's okay. He's called Malcolm X. Later on, I found out had a discussion with Dr. King's wife, Coretta King, and Dr. Abernathy's wife. King was, I think, in jail at the time. That's what we're just trying to get him out. And so Malcolm X come to speak, and as he's speaking, never in my life, I mean, if you haven't seen him in person, this is an extraordinary handsome man. I mean, just even at 14, I knew that. He was very, very stately, handsome, and I was like, yeah, you know, like it's like one of those, your jaws just drop, you know. And then the brother exudes manliness, where he was truly a king. He spoke. I have never, ever seen anyone with organized thoughts so articulate. And I have heard Dr. King speak, but as far as speakers are concerned, my style, Malcolm was so different, so different. so profound.
Yeah.
And he was able to tap into the psyche of the oppressed people.
Right.
And you could feel it, you could
Yeah.
see it, and he just stirred up that moment.
So the gist of his message, and I know this was years ago, but summarize what he was trying to say to the people.
At that time, I was a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
This is this handsome man making a speech. I'm not hearing all that he is saying.
Right.
I remember him saying, I'm just being honest
Okay.
because I can't fabricate this story to
Right.
you, but I remember the battle, the ballot or the bullet. It was all about voter registration, that we must vote, and I get that, and in regards to people organizing themselves. But he was speaking vehemently against oppressing people and taking their human rights.
How was the audience reacting? Were they with him or?
We were all screaming and supporting. It was standing room only.
Wow.
It was just, people just flooded.
Wow.
It was just, you could love Dr. King and Malcolm X at the same time. That was the attitude.
It was well known throughout that community that Malcolm is coming.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and and people came. Initially, you heard the little chit chat, but apparently people overcame that very fast. And when he spoke, what you got was that he was fearless.
Yes.
That's what you got.
Yes.
And it was just a very, like Dr. King spoke, he was always cautious. You know, you could feel that he wasn't afraid, but it was like, he toned down all the nonsense. He had to tone down things and make it right.
Right.
Brother Malcolm was just raw. You know, you've been oppressed, you've been treated like a dog, you got to do something about it. You know, and he just nobody heard it like he was saying it.
Right.
So
when he finished, what did the crowd do? What happened after he finished?
I mean, he had a standing O, but it was just the spirit was always through the speech cheering him on. And he didn't need to be cheered on because he kept going. But I was close enough to see him that as he spoke, his eyes would change colors. He was just so fiery. So he was getting ready to end the speech, and I was like, I got to meet this man. So I shot out and went to the back where the speakers go, but surprisingly, he didn't come my way. He went through the back to another way. So I'm waiting for him to pass me by, but he doesn't come. So he comes out on the left side of the church, and he comes into the room, and it's almost like God just gave me this moment. He looked over, I'm there, and this is my story. This is how I saw it as the 14 years old. He saw me and he came over.
Wow.
But he came over and he shook my hand. And he said something like, how are you? That may be but I can't remember those words. I was in a different zone. But I remember when I shook his hand, as hard as his speech, as vehemently as he spoke, I remember saying to myself, his hands are soft. And then his eyes were soft. And he was a kind man. I was like, not disappointed, but I was like, oh, he's a nice man. Yeah, you couldn't see that because he had the reputation of being
hard.
The person that's gonna that he was gonna be a tough warrior, but when he shook my hand, you felt compassion, you felt love, but the most important word, I felt safe.
Wow.
I felt safe that this man was in the world.
Wow. That's just, don't you wish you had a photographer somewhere in the room to capture that moment?
I have my memory. It would never leave me. It would never leave me.
Never leave
I can see it clearly. I can feel him. Nothing left.
Right. Okay, now take us on again. We're trying to, my understanding is there were three main parts of the whole effort leading up to the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and then Turnaround Tuesday, and then ultimately the walk, the long walk, I think along some highway, where you did finally get to the Capitol. Now you were at different points still involved. Just take us through that, beginning with again.
At 14, I met Malcolm February the 4th. On February the 21st, I think that's when he was just gunned down. So that was 17 days after I met him, he was gone. So there was a mobilization of trying to get the movement to keep going. But people are saying, all these people are dying. What's the use of having a civil rights struggle? And so the spirit of the movement was affected. But Dr. King, James Bevel, a civil rights leader for SNCC, came up with the idea, let's march from Selma to Montgomery. And that decision for Dr. King to okay that changed the civil rights movement, because SNCC did not want the march. They just thought that the people in Selma were just too brutal and too inhuman to the whites to have that march. And but Dr. King okayed it. So John Lewis, who was part of SNCC, agreed to it.
Now
so John Lewis and Jose Williams, who's was out of Atlanta, part of SCLC, they led that march. They told us to walk too strong. One of my brothers, Clifford, was my partner. And so as we started that march on March 7th towards the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the plan was to march 10 miles on the first leg. So on our way, we're going through town. The store that we shop in all the time to the right is playing Bye Bye Blackbirds on the LP. Bye Bye Blackbird. And we was like, oh, they so corny. But we didn't realize they knew something. He was like, for real, Bye Bye Blackbirds. And so the Edmund Pettus Bridge goes up, comes down just like most bridges. So as we're walking up, once we get at the top of that bridge, there are hundreds of state troopers or whoever people that they deputized just to beat us that day.
Yeah, now I understand that they put out a call or something to white males of a certain age.
Apparently.
Come and be deputized.
They were there, because I had never seen that many white people. They were there in suit, on horses, cattle prods, the things that they shot cattle with. They was ready. They had billy clubs. And so they were all there. So when my brother and I look over at my brother, I said, let's keep going. There were people behind me. I heard them like, oh no, we ain't, But we kept going. That was a decision we made, that although that's there, let's keep going. So we continued on that march. And as we descended down, we saw that the march that John Lewis and them had been stopped. Now John Lewis, so different from other SNCC leaders, most SNCC workers wore overalls. If you see the pictures back, you always see overalls, the community organizer. This young man always had a white shirt. He had his a trench coat on, and he was only 24 years old in 1965, but he spoke like a 45-year-old man. He was just old and slow, like an old soul. So we had no problem following this young guy.
He was from Alabama, but somewhere else.
Right. So but we see them stop from where I was in the line. Is stop. The word came for us is to kneel down and pray, because we were singing I ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. So where we were in the highway is to kneel down and pray. So
now, we got to keep in mind, this was Sunday. I think it was a high holy day in the AME church or something. So
it was Sunday.
It was like a sacred thing you were doing, almost.
Well, it became sacred. But on Sunday, that it was a Sunday, March 7th, 1965. I had not turned 15 yet. It was, we kneeled down to pray.
Yeah.
And as a child, at 14 years old, because I was a very religious person, I knew that they were going to kill us. I knew they were going to kill us. So I kneeled down. When I kneeled down to pray, I gave my life to God.
Wow.
I knew I was going to die that day. And I was like, I would not be moved. We were singing, "We Shall Not Be Moved," and I was, I ain't going to let nobody turn us around. We were singing all the songs, so I was hyped. When they say kneel down, I made this arrangement with God. You know, I just prayed I just accepted that I was gone at 14. Consciously, I remember that clearly. At some point, I can't explain to you, as I was praying, I heard no noises. I heard, it wasn't like I was in some other place. When I think about it, I heard no noises. I smelled anything. I didn't feel, I was just in a prayer. I'm praying, and there was a voice, an internal voice came and said, "Open your eyes." When I opened my eyes, there was nothing but tear gas around. Yeah. I mean, thick tear gas, and I can look through the tear gas, and I can see them beating Congressman John Lewis, just beating him. I mean, like he was an animal. They were just beating him, and it was just more than one. And I was like, oh my God. Now all of a sudden I'm choking because now the tear gas is getting in our eyes, you know, and then I turn around, they're beating, I think it must have been Miss Borkin. I can see that a lady, older woman falling, I can see them. But in history, when you go back with all those pictures, I was like, I saw that. I saw that in real life. I saw that.
Yeah.
But when I
at the pictures,
when I
saw the actual
exactly. Thing. So when I look at when I turn to the right, through the smoke, I see all these troopers coming at me on horses.
Wow.
Now, in my head, since God woke me up, He wants me to live. How I put all that together to outrun those horses, there's no way them horses, I can't, to this day, cannot understand how I outran those horses. They were too close to me for me to outrun them. But I outran the horses, hid behind the building, and they followed us behind the building, those of us who was back there. But for some reason, they turned around. I guess they had beat enough people.
Right, yeah.
And so that is the turnaround. That's what Dr. King, that's what SNCC, that's what SCLC needed. They needed that picture to go throughout the world. Here's the United States. It's like the epitome of freedom for all mankind is beating its people because they want to vote. And so that picture went around the world, and Bloody Sunday became the turnaround, the actual turnaround of the Civil Rights Movement.
The turnaround Tuesday, so that was on the 7th. Now on the 9th, which actually became turnaround Tuesday, I think the thinking was, the leader said, okay, we got beat up this first effort. Now we're going to, they're still talking, I think, to Washington and governor's office, George Wallace.
Everybody's appalled.
Yeah, and then the leaders said, okay, we'll try it again. But Dr. King, and that helped me out, Dr. King had been talking with some kind of leaders and made some kind of pact with local leaders that you go so far and no more. And I believe he agreed to get to a certain point on the bridge. And then to the crowd's surprise, I think, he said, okay, let's turn around and go back to the church. And I think some of the people didn't understand. So there was some sort of little scuttlebutt.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but Dr. King came and he had some type of permit to march.
Right.
Something. But they were saying to him, they moved back. When we came across the bridge this time, so they moved back like going through. But it was one of those, they moved back so y'all can go on through, like once you go through, we got you. You know, it was that type of attitude. Like you couldn't discern whether or not it was a trap or not. So Dr. King, he had not communicated to us in the back whether or not he was going to turn around or not. But when they gave him permission to go through their human wall, he made a decision to turn around. And that's why I was extremely disappointed. Remember, I had already given my life already. So I was a dead girl walking. So I was like, turn around, but you let it go, and you came back around, because the second thing that he had done when he came to do that march, he had decided to call on the world to come to Selma and help us. So those 500 houses that we have became 500 hotels. They became 500 rooms, no board. You don't have to pay no board or anything. Come to Selma.
Wow.
So people from around the world came to Selma. They were flooding in.
Isn't that the way we did things, though, in the African American community? We didn't need downtown hotels.
It was powerful.
You went to people in the community, and what I hear you saying is, that's what happened.
That's
people
what
in the
happened.
Community, their homes became the hotel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful.
For security, that means that we can organize everything in the brickyard. That people didn't have to go, because remember, Reverend Reed had been killed just walking to a local restaurant.
Can you tell us a little bit about that now? Okay, he was killed somewhere right close to Turnaround Tuesday.
Yeah,
this is the white.
He was just trying to get something to eat.
Okay.
So he went thinking he was safe, but the whole point was they hated nigger lovers. That's what they were called.
Yeah.
You know, and they just
his murder of this white minister from
he was from I think he was from Massachusetts.
Okay.
James Reed.
Yeah, James Reed. And then that, like you said, became a key factor in, again, the national
housing. It became a key factor because I think we had the Jimmy Lee Jackson. There were just people just being killed. Killed and beaten.
Nothing
See,
happened.
what was unreported was all the drive-by beatings.
Oh my God.
That was unreported.
No report.
People being fired. People being, all that inhuman stuff. Those were the backstory. But it influenced that the people that live in the brickyard had to open their houses. And in my house, there was a lot of people. You had to sleep where you can sleep. So if you see the painting, if you see pictures, there's a blind guy marching. That blind guy and his mother lived with us. They were white. I had in our house, there was a physicist from Northwestern University who had come down, and he lived with us. But he became my math tutor, and he became a father figure to me. He was a Jewish man.
About how long was he there, roughly?
He was there for a while, about a couple of weeks.
Okay.
You know, and he would teach me math, but he couldn't. He was mute and deaf.
Wow.
They called for the Holocaust. A grenade had blown in front of him. But he was a very kind man. And that eventually led me to Illinois. He was from Illinois. Him and he and his wife invited me to come stay with them.
Okay.
You know, so.
And you went?
Of course.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, now let's try to get to your brother, Leroy or Leroy? How do you say it? Leroy?
Leroy.
Leroy. Tell us about his involvement with Viola Liuzzo. Say her name
So
correct.
Mrs. Liuzzo was the mother of 5 children. She got permission from her husband to drive their car down.
Let's say for the audience, this is the woman who became known as the only white female to be killed during that whole civil voting rights era. Okay.
That's correct.
From Detroit.
Yeah.
Mother of 5.
Mother of 5. She got her husband permission to go down. It was going to be a short trip because Dr. King just wanted them to be down for that Selma to Montgomery march. So she came down. So in the organization plan, no women could go out by themselves in a car. You had to have someone assigned to be with you. So they assigned these little teenage boys to. She was an older woman and he was a teenager. So when we was marching on the last leg to Montgomery, we were marching to. I took the last leg of that march. We go to Montgomery, and after Montgomery, they have to bring everybody back to Selma. So so they put us in freight cars, so a lot of people, and some people came by car. So Mrs. Liuzzo and others were responsible for going and picking up marchers and bringing them back to Selma.
Forgive me for interrupting, but the sequence of this is we're through with Turnaround Tuesday. Here's the third effort to get to Montgomery.
Right. This is the last. This is the ending.
This is the ending. March 21st.
Yeah, there was March 21st, where I witnessed Ralph Bunche, the first Nobel Peace Prize. You know, you see him, he speak. All these renowned people showed up and made speeches in Montgomery. Everybody. Just can you imagine as a child just witnessing and seeing them?
Yeah.
So on our way back, after that march is over, the people have to get back to Selma. And that's what she was assigned. Her assignment was to help bring people back.
Okay.
So that means like 3 or 4 people had to pile up in the back of the car and come back.
So her car was herself and
your
brother
she
and some other folk.
Right. So her first load, they had unloaded people. They were on their way back to pick up. A group of white men, 5 men in a car passed them by on the road.
Yeah.
And so
this white woman with these black teenagers in the car.
One teenager, one black teenager, just my brother, you know.
19.
And he's a little skinny, runny little guy. So he looks over in the car, and he can see the men because they're all looking at them. Okay, so the story plays out. They realized, they were like, look at that blank with that woman. So they passed by them and decided to turn back around.
Wow.
So they turned back around and just shot in the car repeatedly.
The car with
and part of her, literally part of her skull was just shot. There was so much blood.
Like the Kennedy.
Yeah, there was just so much blood that it spilled over on my brother. So he fell forward. And so they got out real quickly because there was other marches. There's, all these people are coming back and forth. I mean, it's not like they were ever alone on the road. People are coming back and forth trying to get all the people back.
That's interesting because I had visualized them being on a dark road somewhere.
No,
but this is traffic coming on.
This is daylight time traffic.
Wow.
People are coming back and forth. So he. so he, either the story goes he played dead. I was trying to get it clear from him. Either he played dead or he fainted, but he was forward.
Right.
He was forward in the passenger seat, and her blood was so she profusely bled in the car that it looked like they both were dead. So they got out the car. Now, the difference is, what they did not know, that one of those 5 men was a plant, an FBI plant.
Okay.
And so he was able to witness who they were.
Wow.
But my brother remembered their faces. And so for that point, our family, of course, lost jobs. Nobody could work. We had to leave Selma and relocate.
But, okay, now you still were 15-ish, 16-ish?
I mean, but he left first. He could not live. But we stayed there for another couple of years, but my mother couldn't get no employment.
Okay. Now let me stop a moment. About how are we doing on time? So at that point, your family left. Okay.
No, at that point, Leroy left.
Okay.
Dr. King assigned him to go to Chicago.
Okay, Dr. King assigned him to go to Chicago.
And it just so happening, remember, the doctor that lived, the professor who was a doctor, a physicist, that lived with me, had invited me
Right, yeah.
to Evanston, Illinois.
Okay.
So I would get on the L train and go visit my brother.
Okay.
And so that's how him and I started working with Dr. King and Cicero.
Okay, now let's get, good point. Let's get to Cicero. Now Cicero was important because African Americans were just shut out of good housing, equal housing. And so local leaders there invited Dr. King to come up north to try to help the African Americans up north who were suffering, with issues like we were in the South. So he goes up there to work on the equal housing issue, which was a big problem. And so bring us to your memories of following behind him in a car when these massively angry white folk, I mean just hate-filled, just spitting hatred, came after the car. Now take us from there.
In Selma, as a child, I saw that we didn't have civil rights. My mother could not vote. I underwent cultural shock when I got to Chicago to see the condition that I just thought the North was for free African Americans.
Yeah,
I just thought it was free. It was quite the contrary. So, and it was just, I mean, talking about a child being traumatized, I could not make peace with that because it was always go north and you'll find your freedom. It wasn't real because law enforcement beat us in Selma. When I got to Chicago, to Cicero, Dr. King them did not want to march. It was too dangerous to march in Cicero.
Now Cicero was all white.
It was hateful whiteness.
Hateful whiteness.
It was just pure hate.
Pure hate.
I mean, you just like you hadn't. There's no way to understand that. In Selma, law enforcement was beating us, and the spectators were playing Bye Bye Blackbird. So they were just rooting the law enforcement, beat them. In Cicero, law enforcement was allowing the onlooker to just throw rocks and eggs at us. So they were just pounding the car. So I'm behind Dr. King. It wasn't the second car, that's for sure. But I'm behind, but I can see Dr. King them clearly.
Yeah.
And they're just I see why you could not march in Cicero. You had to do a drive-by. That was the protest. You had to drive through, and they still got us.
And I think maybe the mindset was, okay, like you said, down south, you kind of knew what the score was. But up here in the north, the whites, I'm imagining, were so resentful, y'all coming up here getting our jobs, thinking you're going to live with us. Go back down south. Don't come up here and ruin our lives, you know. So that this is raw, bite your teeth, anger at black folks for coming up here thinking you're going to be equal to us. Is that pretty much?
More profoundly than that, here you have an African-American girl that is in a no-win situation. If you're in the South, you're going to be hated and then if you're in the North, you're going to be hated. There was no green pastures.
My. So anyway, you witnessed this raw anger and them. Dr. King, I think, was hit.
Yeah, you can see them. I mean, it was just insane. I think at one time they were trying to talk to the policemen about, why don't you, the eggs would just come in. You can see them being, I mean, just throwing. I mean, I remember, to this day, I can remember that egg hitting me.
Oh, so one egg?
Oh, yeah. It was just, the mess was all over the cars, you know. It was just a different enlightenment about where we are, and this is in the middle of the Pan-African movement, where black people are rising up and becoming aware. So then the mindset, people were beginning to listen more to Malcolm, because they were just tired. And that's when Malcolm had to leave.
Right. I wanted to, before we get away too much, I did kind of want a little bit more about yourself. You have had a very diverse life experience, travels and education and administration and working with troubled young people, child protective service, and all of that, wilderness, living out in the wilderness. Bring us to your development now. You get past you being a teenager. How did you make a decision about what you want to do with your life, the career path you wanted to make, and how did all of this diversity happen with you?
Selma was influenced me, and the learning that I learned from the Webb Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, Dr. King, Malcolm X, learning from them, because I was a reader, I knew I wanted to go to college. And it was a conscious decision to get into fields to help people. So here today, I have over 25 years of experience in the field of mental health. I've worked as a psychotherapist, as a family therapist. That is something very natural for me to do. I taught parenting classes. I'm into the proper way of parenting children and dealing with the trauma of a family system that's feeling oppressed. So that's one part of it. So currently now, I am an African American mother who is a grandmother of 8 children. I raised many children. At one time I had 16 boys living with me because I just have a way with boys. I know how to love them and care for them. You just learn. All this comes from my upbringing in Selma. But as a social worker, as that person, I'm currently now working on my doctorate degree in education I'm in dissertation now, and the dissertation is from an Islamic perspective, exploring the resiliency of Muslim students who face violence, growing violence on college campus. It's an unreported issue, so I'm always working on the side of the underdog. That's just a compassion of mine.
Is that the issue you're trying to bring specifically out in some written form?
Yes, I'm currently working on my dissertation. I'm on my 3rd chapter.
Okay. And it's sort of a, for lack of a better word, discrimination of Muslim children on college campuses. Yeah, that's an issue I think that has not really been explored much.
Exactly, it's
That's
real.
An interesting topic. And you even do some carpentry, is that correct?
It is what it is.
How did that happen?
Just learning. I just love learning, and you just the naturalness of that part of life is it's part of the course.
Yeah.
Part of the course.
Right. I also wanted to ask you about, back to the mental health part. What was it that interested you to explore more mental health area?
It's natural.
Okay.
As an African American, what we don't realize is that we're traumatized.
Okay.
It used to be that everybody that's African American is paranoid. No, you're not. You're justifiably paranoid because you're traumatized with how being oppressed people. And so you have to rise above that. But the oppression is, the oppressors are not always white and blonde.
Okay.
You're just not that. Because you find that we have African Americans who, I just heard the story today, someone shoots into the window and kills a baby.
Right.
Like, where's all that coming from?
Yeah.
Where's all that anger coming from that would empower someone to shoot a black baby that has done nothing to anybody right here in Dallas?
My understanding is that this person shot in 3 different windows at this particular residence, not knowing who's inside, and obviously the little baby innocent in there sleeping.
Exactly.
You fire into a window where people are sleeping.
Yeah.
And one of your victims is a little 1-year-old who gets shot several times and dies.
Yeah, and the question, my sister, when you ask about mental health is tracking. Where is the meaning of all of this? What feeds into that anger? What feeds into that sickness? That is a sickness. At the end of the day, that child is gone. What sickness led to that child gone? Is it drugs? Is it mental illness? What is it? We have a commitment to take a look at this issue and come up with solutions for it. And that's pretty much my assessment. Become more analytical and come up with solutions.
I don't know if we're having questions and answers. Thomas had to step out. Yeah, before we get to questions and answers, I wanted you to almost leading us, summarizing the point that you were just making. In your assessment, looking at your life, looking at all your experiences, looking at Selma during the time you grew up, and the environment that the world, the political world, the social world that we're in now, what do you make of all this, and what do you have to tell us as your judgment of where we go from here? Where do we go from here? How do we get out of this? What do we do with the situation we're in?
First, I view life is a personal navigation.
Okay.
And in that personal navigation, You have to consciously decide what is your relationship with your Creator. When you connect with a higher power and have an understanding that you are a creation and there is a Creator, there lies an answer for internal peace. That lies, it guides you to do right. And when people talk about karma, that's a way, but we call it the law or the return of deeds. Whatever good you do, it's something that you see when I went to the George Washington Carver Museum. I pick up the phone. They have a phone of his voice. The last public speech he made was in Selma, Alabama. And on that phone, he said, do not plant a cabbage and expect a carrot to grow.
Wow.
And that's the reality of life. Whatever you plant, so shall you reap. Whatever in this life, here's our reality. This is a promise God has made to us. All your good deeds will be rewarded, and you will see the reward for your bad deeds. And in that lies an answer. So the issue for each human being in his own evolvement is to choose to do as many good deeds as you can. And in that good deed is helping people. Go help somebody to vote. Make a decision. For this coming election, the solution is, like Malcolm said, the battle of the bullet. Take 20 people. Go knock on their doors. Let me take you down, register you to vote, and let me come back and pick you up and take you to vote. Simple task. Don't do nothing extraordinary. Just do something simple. Make up your mind to register 20 people. Then that's a good deed.
Yeah.
It's going to pay back.
Yeah.
It's going to pay back.
Yeah.
So don't make life complicated. Just do good deeds. Because you got to align yourself with God.
Wonderful. Okay. At that point, I'm told that we can take a couple of questions from the floor. Here's one.
Thank you for coming to be with us.
Can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said thank you for coming to be with us. But I had a question for you about the ballot of the bullet. Do you think it was a call to arms, or do you think it was basically a motivating speech to get people to go out and vote? In other words, do you think that it was an affirmation that voting for people who are denied the vote is useless?
Everything I have read about Malcolm X and all what I believe in him, he was just a no-nonsense people. He was a straight shooter. No pun intended. He was a straight shooter. When he said ballot, he was talking about voter registration. If we're going to initiate change, the empowerment of Africa. Can you imagine if every African American, the colored nation of the United States just register and vote? You have reset your power. You're empowered to make a difference, and people have to come to you. It's like now. What did they say? Look at what's happening in the parties now. It's like, you don't have the black people supporting you. You don't have African American support. That is like killing campaigns. So the issue is, don't decrease that empowerment, increase that empowerment. And what Malcolm was said, you either going to stand up and vote your rights in, or you're going to die by the bullet.
Wow.
That's how I felt.
Wow. Yes.
Walaikum salam.
So you said when you met Dr. King at 14 years old, you kept asking him, give me something. Did he ever give you anything?
He did.
What did he give you?
He was trying to wipe the sweat off of his forehead because he was sick of this little 13-year-old girl in 1963. And I said, that's it. And he said, what? I said, your handkerchief. And he said, He gave it to
Wow,
me.
with the sweat on it.
You still have that?
No.
Right, things disappeared.
I thought many times to just go get a hanger, no, but it won't work. I lost it on the Greyhound bus going to Cicero.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How you doing? Good. I didn't see you sitting there. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes.
First of all, thank you so much. Most of your whole life is truly inspiring, and it's kind of a question and a statement. I feel like there isn't anything new under the sun, and most of the things that you recap, minus our ability to assemble ourselves, many of the same themes are occurring right now as far as our safety and being haunted. And so in the work that you were doing, that you committed your life to, what has been your message to not only those sons that you chose to bring up, but to all of us who have sons or nephews or men in our lives in any way, shape, or form? What's your messaging now? Because the message then was, we've got to go out and fight for what we want. I don't feel that same sense of responsibility. And so what message did you give your sons and the young men that you still work with who are trying to rectify their mental condition that we all know is a condition of all of ours?
You know, it goes back, sister, from a woman to a woman. There is nothing that could be second to a woman loving you, an African American woman loving you. If a woman rise up, like I called Jamal, I just met him. This is my son, right? Don't you love being my son? The issue is you sincerely love the children. They can feel it. You know, if a child has a drug addict mother at home who just is totally out of her mind, probably been raped over and over again, a victim of all type of issues, then you as a mother, you as a African American woman, we do our role. We take on the responsibility of being kind. Don't pass somebody by and, you know, like, I'm not feeling them today. But that one thing that's free is kindness.
Oh.
It's nothing wrong with being kind and just loving human beings. It's a human quality to love someone. And that's what's missing. You know, you just got to love these children. And then you got to take that love and make that love that they feel from you connect to God. Because there's no way, you can't get away from loving the Creator that made you. So that's how we as mothers, and that's the same message to the fathers. Same message to the father. How many young men in my counseling session, I was like, how long are you going to blame your father for not being there for you? Oh. Now you're not there for your own child. You're so bitter with your father that you're not taking care of your own child. Does that make any sense? Get off of your high horse, reset, push that reset button, and get your act together. And that's where we at, sister. Each one of us got to make a conscious decision to reset. Push the reset button. Get yourself centered. And the way to get centered is connect to the power that created you, and that's how you're empowered to move forward. Of all the things that have come at me, I'm still sitting here. Bang, 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 bang. I'm writing my dissertation. I'm going to do this. They're like, I'll be 70 years old this year. 55 years since 1965. I'm still not too old to learn. I'm still not too old to love. I'm still not too old to care.
Very good. Maybe one more. I think I see one back here. Oh.
I just wondering, from what you were saying, Dr. King seems like, mentioned SNCC, you mentioned SCLC, and I'm sure the NAACP was there, and then you mentioned a Jewish person.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like Dr. King's strength was being able to galvanize all these different groups and entities to come together for one, for a certain purpose. Now, you said Malcolm was maybe a more impressive speaker, maybe, but it seemed like Dr. King's strength was in. He was saying maybe Ms. Wade was saying he had arranged a deal to where y'all wouldn't march the whole distance. He even got with that group to make it all work together. It seemed like his strength was being able to work with the whole thing.
Yeah,
make it work.
You're absolutely right, brother. What I conclude, because somebody asked me, do you choose Malcolm or Dr. King? You don't make a choice.
Oh.
You accept them both.
Oh.
Dr. King is the orange. I love oranges tremendously. I love apples.
Mm.
So then you say, I love fruit.
Mm.
I just love fruit.
Mm.
God sent both of those men to the earth.
Mm.
They both gave up their lives for their people. How could you love one more than the other? They all were significant. They all make contribution. But the most important thing is they left this earth to make things better for all of us.
I think I saw. Did I see your hand, sir?
Yeah,
Yes.
just a really quick question.
Okay.
Sister.
Well,
You talked about when you're dealing with young men and with their sons, and they're still dealing with this feeling of victimization from their own childhood. Earlier, when you were talking, you talked about us as a race still dealing with the victimization of slavery, Jim Crow, all of those things. When you're dealing with those young men and even women, other families, how do you deal with that question? Because it still comes up.
Yeah. What we're not doing enough of, brother, is that we have not understood the need for mental health facilities. But they need to be for our people, for us. They need to come and they need to be redefined. Like they need to be like retreats. Like 50 boys be taken on a camp. Because I started this for girls.
Oh.
I literally see how it works. You take 50 boys and you unconditionally love them and you let them know there are options to survive.
Can I ask just a quick follow-up? I see this problem. Obviously, our youth have an issue, right? Because we see it every day in the violence, drug use, different things like that. I see this issue with African Americans, men in particular, above the age of 65.
What was that last part?
Above the age of 65.
Above the age of
They
65.
feel almost like they were cut off at the knees by Jim Crow, the remnants of slavery, things they went through with struggling for education, struggling for jobs, things of that nature. I think a lot of healing needs to take place amongst older African American males.
Okay.
Any reaction to that?
No, the brother just speaking his truth.
Very good. Well, Mr. Muhammad, I think we have, do you have a wrap-up you need for us to do?
Yeah. First of all, let's give a round of applause here.
Can I say something? I'm coming through Dallas and the Fort Worth area. I'm coming through, and I'm not going to say I'm a visitor because I promise you, I have not been to a place that I do not feel like a visitor. There is this sense of consciousness and humanity that I feel from the people of Dallas. You have something unique. Tap into the source of this, because you're like, no, I have not felt this type of feedback and kindness and consciousness from other groups. You don't realize how blessed you are here.
Very good. We thank you.
And that's because she's been to such fabulous places here in Dallas, from Black Cat of Watson letters to Freedman Cemetery, Inner City Community Development Work Corporation, ICDC, here at Pan-African Connection. So she just seen so much consciousness that, yes, she's been very impressed. There's two things I need to do right quick. One is the council person, the wonderful person who represents this district is here to make a welcome for you as well. She will do a formal presentation in the morning at Friendship West Baptist Church. Let me bring up now Councilwoman Carolyn Arnold. Come on up here and do this welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah, you got to be on camera.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am, come on.
We've been running today. Okay.
Well, let me at least greet you in some way, sister.
Thank you.
It is an honor to be here today, and of course to hear the wonderful experiences and just eye-opening experiences that you've shared with us. But it's an honor just to have individuals who care enough to be here today to hear the story. And then also, not only are we happy to have you here in District 4, always welcome to have Mrs. Norma Wade, and always welcome to be here, happy to be here at Pan Am. So today has been an eye-opener for all of us. Because we've had so many things go on in our history today, the struggle with South Oak Cliff, for example, to get to the point where they are today, where they can at least feel a sense of equity in terms of educational resources. So we're very happy for that experience. But it's your story that so many times are left out of the history book, and so we have to depend on the traveling stories or just exchange of stories in sessions like this. And so it is, I'm happy and thankful that Mr. Thomas Muhammad is also committed to documenting this history so it continues to last. So just thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Thank you, my sister, for being here, both of you and all of you who are here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you to them. My name is Thomas Muhammad, Dallas Chair of the National Black United Front. Of course, we have tapes and other things over here if you want to support what we're doing. And these tours are very important to educate our communities. You know, we're not alone in this world. In fact, I'm looking in the back there and I see the great and wonderful Malefi Asante. And of course, we have had his son on his tour as well, MK Asante, who produced the Black Candle and some other things. But you definitely need to be wired into that. And one of the things that MK said to us at Friendship West Baptist Church, in fact, and Malefi of course told me that comes from him. Yes. He said, African Americans, black folk, we need to carry two sets of notes. One set with the truth to ace the test. The second note with the pure truth. Two sets of notes. One with to pass the test. The second, of course, with the truth. Because we know there's a true story for all of us who come from Africa. And so the key thing is that we have had such a wonderful time here, but now, of course, we're going to get out of here because Malefi is coming up to speak tonight. He is also a wonderful presenter. And again, I want to thank Pan-African Connection for having us here. Sister Khadijah, give another round of applause. We're going to keep doing this. And we have wonderful vegetarian meals on the side over here. So definitely want to partake in that and support your local vendors. It's important for us to do that. Having said that, we're going to now close out and leave. Thank you for coming. Good night. Oh, and thank Norm Adams Wade. I'm sorry. Norm is sitting right up under me here. The great Norm Adams.